Thank you everyone for coming to our World Kamishibai Forum up on large-scale Kamishibai. We're just delighted to be able to invite Morohashi Seiko Morohashi, who is a priest and an award-winning illustrator and Kamishibai creator. We were just enjoying the videos that he's created before you all came, and you're in for a real treat. So I don't want to make the session too long, but I want to remind everybody to stay on mute so that we can hear Morohashi-san's presentation. I will be interpreting for the first half, and then Donna will take over for the second half, and we'll have time for Q&A after that. Actually, we have 8 more people coming in, so let's wait until they join us. Okay, I'd like to begin. So if everybody could please be on mute for now, and we'll have time for conversation at the end. We have a really wonderful presentation prepared. Morohashi-san has prepared really beautiful videos for us. So we will share those in a moment. But before we get to that, we wanted to talk a little bit about how Morohashi-san came to create these incredible large Kamishibai productions. So he's going to explain a little bit about his background and how he started to do this kind of work. So Morohashi-san, お願いします。
はい。では、今日のはじめにこの大型紙芝居をどういうことから始めたかということをお話ししたいと思います。
So I'm going to begin. He says he's going to begin by explaining how he came to make these large-scale kamishibai.
私は学生時代に絵の勉強を専門にしまして、それからお寺の生まれですので仏教の勉強をして、実家である家に帰ってきました。
So he went to art school, but he grew up in a temple, in a family that so he would become a priest. So he also studied Buddhism.
お寺に帰るとすぐに私はもともと子供が好きでしたので、夏のお寺のお祭りの行事の一環として子供祭りという行事を始めました。
So when he returned to the temple after graduating from art school, he really loved children. So he created a special event for the children at the temple.
その宣伝がうまくいきまして、その子供祭りには300人を超える子供たちが集まりました。
So at the first festival for children that he created, over 300 children came.
で、1年目を終えて2年目を迎えたときに、せっかく300人も集まるのだから、何かメインイベントになるものが欲しいなっていうふうに思いました。
So with so many children coming, with 300 children the first year, he thought the next year he wanted to make a special treat for them, a special presentation during the festival.
それで考えた中で、前の年に、子どもたちがお寺に展示してある地獄の絵に非常に興味を持っていること、真剣に見ていることに思い出して、それを何かしようというふうに考えました。
So he says he remembered that the year before, the children, there had been an exhibition of Buddhist hell scenes. Scenes from the different hells in Buddhist hell. So the children were very interested in that, and he thought he would do something relating to that.
地獄の絵っていうのはだいたいお寺に展示してあるんですけれども、それはいいこと悪いこと、やっていいこと悪いことを人に教えるために、死んだ後悪いことをすると鬼によってものすごく苦しい責め苦を受けるぞって、その様子を絵に描いたものです。
Mhm. So in Japanese Buddhist temples, there are often these hell scenes that show people, if they do bad things during their life, what will happen to them in the afterlife and how they'll be tortured by demons and all these scary things to make sure that they do good works.
それで考えたのは、まあ、巨大なパネル、まあ、実際こう360センチかける450センチぐらいの大きなパネルを作って、そこに、地獄の絵を描いて、それを私が説明するということを考えました。
So just like they used to do in the old days in Japan, they would have a big screen of different images from hell, and then there would be a narrator alongside explaining the stories behind the different hell scenes. Morohashi-san thought he would create a big panel about 11 feet by 15 feet and tell the Buddhist hell stories to the children.
実際それをやろうとしたんですけれども、そんなに大きなものを作ると後で片付けるのも大変ですし、それから次の年にまた組み立てるのも大変です。そこで、それをバラバラにして順番にめくればいいというふうに考えて、あ、そうだ、紙芝居という形があるというふうにたどり着いたわけです、考えが。
So at first he was thinking of making this 11 by 15 foot huge screen or panel. And then he realized that building that every year and taking it apart would be so much work and, where to store it. So he thought about having each scene and be able to talk or tell the story of each scene one at a time. And then, of course, he remembered that that's Kamishibai.
ですので、私の大きなこの紙芝居というのは、普通みんな小さなもの、普通のものを大きくしたというふうに考えられるんですけど、思われるんですけれど、実は私はもっと大きなものをコンパクトにこう縮小した結果なんです。
So actually, a lot of people, when they see his big, tatami size, large kamishibai, they think that he's taken a small kamishibai and made it larger. But actually, in his mind, he took this much larger 11 by 15 panel and made it into a compact size.
大型の紙芝居を作るための材料というのは、ベニヤの板だとなかなか全部重くなってしまうので、安くて軽い段ボールを使いました。それから絵の具は舞台の大道具や小道具を、塗る塗料といいますか、それに使うアクリル系の絵の具を使いました。この舞台用の絵の具ですので、いろいろ照明を当てると非常にこう鮮やかに浮かび上がって、その選択は良かったかなっていうふうに思ってます。
So for the cards, because like using plywood or a material like that would be way too heavy, he uses cardboard. And then on that, he uses a kind of acrylic paint that they use for stage props and backdrops. So it really shines brightly when you put light on it.
アトリエのちょっと画像があるかと思いますので、ちょっとどんな感じか、絵の具がどんな感じか見てもらえるかと思います。
Okay, so I'm going to share screen now and show you a picture of Morohashi-san's studio where he works, so you can get a sense of, let me just get it onto the slide. Here we go. So you can.
普段こんな感じでところで描いています。小さな絵があるのが普通サイズの紙芝居です。大きな方がこの大型の紙芝居。
So the big, you can see on the table of the studio, the cards on the table are actually the standard Kamishibai size. 後ろにあるお化けの絵は大型紙芝居のサイズですね。
そうです。
はい。So the obake in the back, as you can see leaning on the wall, that is the size of the ogata or the large scale kamishibai. So you can really see the difference between the ones on the table and the ones in the back. 次に行きます。
じゃあ、今度、じゃあ、またお話しします。
はい。お願いします。
まあ、この90センチ ×130 センチという大きさは300人の子どもたちに見せるためには最初からこの大きさでスタートしたわけです。
So he began really they're about 3 feet by 4 feet sized Kamishibai. It's about 10 times the normal size to show the 300 children who came to the festival.
はい、それでせっかくこの大きな紙芝居なのでただ言葉で語るだけではなくて、効果音を入れようというふうに考えました。
And because the cards are so big, it didn't seem like enough to just have the narrator alongside. He started thinking about how to make steps with musical instruments and other instruments.
使った道具は私はお寺なので、お経にを読むときに使う太鼓、あるいはドラ、ホラ貝、シンバルみたいなミョハチっていうものです。そういうふうなものをお寺のお経に使う道具を使いました。
So because he was in a temple, he used the instruments that you would use during meditation sessions or when reading sutras, like cymbals, gongs. There's a conch shell you can blow on called horagai. And am I missing anything? One more thing. But all of these are the kinds of instruments that he had in the temple.
それによって地獄の紙芝居を作ったわけですが、非常に怖いもの、非常に盛り上がるものになりました。
And because of course the hell scenes are very scary, it really was an exciting and stimulating experience for the children.
そういうふうにしていろんな準備が整って初めて紙芝居を演じてみたときという私はその時に大きな衝撃を受けました。
And it was really inspiring for me to see this for the first time performed. My paintings performed as a kamishibai was really moving for me as well.
自分の描いた絵に命が吹き込まれて生き生きと動き出すように感じられた。自分の絵が 100% だとすると 150% にも 200% にも広がったような感じがしました。
So, I had painted these really big kamishibai, but when they actually came to life in performance and, were moving and you could see the characters come to life, it seemed like they were even like 1.5 to 2 times bigger and sort of flowed out of the stage.
それとあと子どもたちが真剣に見入っている様子、そういう生の手応えというものを非常に感じまして、紙芝居っていうのは非常に面白いなっていうふうに思って、それから毎年、作るようになりました。
And when I saw how excited the children were to see the movement and the drama of the cards in the stage performed, I realized what a really interesting media Kamishibai is. And I started to make new Kamishibai every year for this festival.
それから、毎年作るようになって、最初のうちは仏教のお話をして題材に使ったんですが、だんだん慣れるに従ってもっと難しいものに挑戦したいという気持ちになって、児童文学を手掛けるようになりました。
So I started making these new stories every year for the festival for the children who came to this festival. And at first I focused on Buddhist tales, but as I became more and more familiar with the format, I started to challenge myself with classics from children's literature.
で、とりあえずまず一作見ていただきたいと思いまして、これからもちもちの木という作品をご覧いただきたいと思います。これは日本では教科書にも小学校の教科書に載っている非常に有名なお話です。英訳は田良幕川さんがしてくださいました。
Arigatou gozaimasu. I'd like to share with you an example from children's literature in this first video of the Mochimochi tree. This is a very famous story in Japan that is even in the elementary school textbooks. I will share the screen so you can see the video of the Mochimochi tree. So hold on just a moment while I prepare that. Whoops. Mochimochi no ki.
Written by Saito Ryusuke, adapted and illustrated by Morohashi Seiko. The Mochimochi tree. There is no one I know more cowardly than Mameta. The boy is already 5 years old, and he should be able to go to the outhouse by himself at night. But the outhouse is outside in front of the hut, and in front of the hut is a giant tree. So Mameta says he won't go to the outhouse to pee at night unless his grandfather comes with him. Grandpa! Grandpa! Oh, what? Do you have to pee? Yes. All right. Even in the middle of the night, grandfather always wakes up to help him. The two of them sleep on just one futon, so it must be better than letting the futon get wet. And because Mameta lives with his grandfather, just the two of them in a hunter's hut, high up on a cliff, his grandfather probably can't help but feel sorry for him and love him a lot. Just hold it a little longer. Okay, I'll try. But it's strange because Mameta's father was such a fearless hunter. He fought a bear and died of a broken skull. And Mameta's grandfather chased wild boar and even now can jump from rock to rock from dizzying heights. So why is Mameta the only one in the family who is such a scaredy cat? Mameta, don't you think it's time you went out to pee by yourself? Gotta. Grandfather opened the sliding door. I can't help it. The Mochimochi tree is so scary. The Mochimochi tree. That is Mameta's name for it. It is an enormous tree. Every autumn, hundreds of shiny nuts fall from its branches. When the nuts are steamed into cakes, they are so delicious, they would make your mouth water. Hey there, old tree. Hey, Mochimochi tree, drop more nuts. That's what Mameta demands boldly in the light of day. But at night, he loses all his courage. Ooh, I'm the Mochimochi ghost. The tree is angry and reaches down with both arms threateningly. Help! Help! Just the sight of it makes Mameta shake so hard that he couldn't pee if he tried. That is why. There you go. Psst. What a beautiful night. You can almost touch the stars. Deep in the forest, the deer and bears are snoring. Now it's time to pee. It's hard to believe that at the age of 5, Mameta still needs his grandfather to say psst, psst for him to pee. But without his grandfather, he is hopeless. It is said that tonight is the night when the Mochimochi tree will light up. Listen, Mameta. Tonight is the 20th of November, when the first frost will come and light up the Mochimochi tree. You have to stay awake so you can see it. Every single branch will light up and the whole tree will shine. It's so beautiful. When I was a boy, I saw the light once, and your dad said he saw it too. It's as if the gods of the mountain are having a festival. But they say that only one child gets to see it at one time, and only a child who has courage. Well, that settles it then. I'll never get to see it. If Grandpa and Dad saw it, I would like to see it too. But I can't imagine going out on this winter's night in the darkness by myself. I'm already quaking at the thought. Mameta has already given up, and diving into his blanket, goes to sleep early. In the middle of the night, when Mameta wakes, he hears a bear groaning right above his head. Grandpa, Grandpa, he calls, reaching out to hug his grandfather. But Mameta, don't worry. It's just my stomach that hurts. It was his grandfather who was groaning. Grandpa! In fear and shock, Mameta rushes to his grandfather's side. But grandfather is gritting his teeth, writhing in pain, and his groaning just grows louder. Oh no! This is serious! A doctor! I have to get the doctor! Bang! Mameta throws his weight against the front door and knocks it down as he flies out of the hut. Mameta struggles to breathe as he stumbles down the pathway in his bare feet. It's more than a mile to the nearest village. Outside, the stars are incredible, and the steep path down from the top of the mountain cliffside is covered with a frost as white as snow. Ow! 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 The frost is biting into Mameta's feet, and they begin to bleed. Ow! 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 Mameta cries, but keeps on running because it hurts, and it's cold, and he is terribly scared. But the thought that the grandfather he loves so much might die is even more frightening. Crying all the way, he finally makes it to the doctor's house at the bottom of the foot of the mountain. When the doctor hears what has happened, he says, There, there. And wrapping Mamita up in his warm coat, carries him all the way back up the cliff. Strangely enough, as they are climbing up the hill, snow starts falling, even though the moon is out. Mamita is kicking his feet against the doctor's sides, trying to hurry him up the path. He can't help but thinking that his grandfather might be dead by the time they get there. As they finally reach the hut, Mamita looks out from the doctor's coat and sees something wonderful. Ah! Ah! The Mochimochi tree is on fire! And Mamita is seeing it. The Mochimochi tree with every single branch lit up and sparkling as though in a dream. But the doctor says, yes, it does look almost as if the tree were on fire, but that's only because the moon and stars are behind the tree and their light shines through the falling snow, making it look lit up. And with that, he steps into the hut. Mamita is too busy to give it much thought after that because he has to help the doctor by adding wood to the fire and setting water to boil. But the next morning, after grandfather's stomach is all better and the doctor has left, grandfather says, Mamita, you saw the festival of the mountain gods. The Mochimochi tree was all lit up because you had the courage to run all by yourself at night over the mountain path to call for a doctor. Don't ever think of yourself as a coward again. When people have love in their hearts, they always find the courage to do what needs to be done. And it comes as a surprise to everyone else. Be that as it may, no sooner has Mamita's grandfather completely recovered than that very night, Grandpa, what is it, Mamita? Grandpa, got to pee. I've got to pee. And like always, his grandfather gets up to help him.
ありがとうございました。
Thank you. That was wonderful. I really should show you everybody so you can see their responses. Let's see if I can put us a gallery view. That was really beautiful. 素晴らしかったです。ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。実際の現場でこう聞いていただくと、もう少し音楽と語りともう少しこう融合して柔らかくこう聞けるようになっていると思います。それから、じゃあそれをお願いします。
ダナさん、ミュートしてますよ。
Yeah, he said that if you really were able to listen to it in person, the narration and the music would blend together more beautifully.
チャットの中にたくさんの反応がありますから、また後でシェアします。本当に素晴らしい、もう圧倒されますっていうようなたくさんのコメントがあります。Thank you all for your comments. I'll share them with Morohashi-san later as well.
あとご覧いただいて段ボールに書いているというザラザラとした肌合いというのはあれは段ボールで書いてあるってことがご理解いただけると思います。
Looking at the story in this way, you can see the texture that comes from drawing on cardboard.
このもちもちの木のような児童文学を紙芝居にするというのはとても難しいところがあります。なかなか確信がつかめないというところで非常に悩まなければいけない。このもちもちの木もそうでした。
He said it's very difficult to adapt works from children's literature into Kamishibai. You have to really be able to grasp the essence of the story, and it's always difficult, and this story was no exception.
考えてばかりいてもしょうがないので、実際わからないままに書き進めるわけです。それでずっと書いていって、この作品は23番面ありますが、その21番目のところで私は何か確信がつかめました。
He, instead of just thinking over and over again what the main theme of the story was, he just started to do the illustrations. And when he got to the 21st scene, there are 23 panels altogether. He finally thought he captured, had understood the essence of the story.
その21場面というのはこれです。この場面です。
This is the scene.
この場面を書いていて、私はこの物語には登場人物は男ばかりですけれども女性がいたっていうことに気づいたんです。
When he came to was drawing this scene, he realized that although it seems like the characters, all of the characters in this story are male, he realized that there is a female in the story.
このもちもちの木を中心にして、月も星も大地も回っている。豆田にとってこのもちもちの木が世界の中心に立っている木なんだと。でそれは大きな大きなお母さんなんだっていうことに、絵を描いてて気づいたわけです。
He said that the sun, the moon, and the stars and the earth all revolve around this tree, the Mochimochi tree, and it's also the center of Mamita's universe. And he realized that it is a mother figure to Mamita.
その大きなお母さんが ずっとマメタを見守っていて、マメタが自分の殻を破って一歩を踏み出したときに、最も美しい姿を見せたんだ。そういうお話だったんだっていうふうに、とてもこの話は宗教的な話だったんだってことに気づいたわけです。
This towering mother had been protecting Mameta, and when he broke out of his shell and took his first step toward independence, she looked the most beautiful. She became very beautiful. And this is what the story was all about. And he realized that it had a very strong religious theme to it.
それで私は確信がつかめたような気がして、その考え方に基づいてこの絵を、今までの絵をみんなやめて新しくもう一回描き直したわけです。
So after he finally grasped the essence of the story, he redrew all of the panels and started from the beginning again with this new understanding of the story in his mind.
紙芝居っていうのは、紙芝居を作るっていうのは、そういうふうにこう物語の解釈を深めるっていうことができるというふうに思っています。
So when you're making Kamishibai, you come to a deeper understanding of the story as you're making it.
そういうこう解釈というのは、強引なものかもしれませんけれども、そういうものがないと一枚一枚の構図というものをどうしたらいいかということが決定できない。で、お話の核心をこうしっかりつかむことによって物語は見る人にこうドーンと伝わるものになるんではないかというふうに考えています。
Sometimes you may think your interpretation of the story may seem a little forced, but it's important that you have a message to convey, and it makes it easier to create each panel and put the story together. The panels will be stronger, and the story will have a stronger impact on the audience.
こんなふうにして40年間紙芝居を作り続けてきました。
So this is how I've been making Kamishibai over the past 40 years.
で、私ももう70になりますので、もう最後だと思って、最近は前からやりたかった音楽紙芝居に挑戦しています。
I will soon turn 70 and recently have taken on a challenge, something that I've always wanted to do, and that is to create what he calls ongaku kamishibai, musical kamishibai.
紙芝居に音楽を入れるということは普通サイズのものだとうまくいかないことが多いのですけれども、これだけの大きな紙芝居だと絵と語りと音楽とバランスが取ることができるので、それらをこう融合させることができるのではないかというふうに考えて挑戦しています。
With the standard size kamishibai, adding music to the performance doesn't always go well, but with these large scale kamishibai, the illustrations, the narration, and the music seem more well balanced and seem to blend together more seamlessly.
幸い若くて才能豊かでこの紙芝居に非常に興味を持ってくれる若い作曲家あるいは演奏家と出会うことができましたので、彼らと共にもう4作5作の作品を作り上げてきました。
I've been fortunate to meet a young and talented composer and some talented musicians, and we have created 4 or 5 musical kamishibai together so far.
その中から一つをこれからご覧いただきたいと思います。英訳はダーナ玉木さんにしていただきました。
So I'd like you to view one of them with me now. The previous Kamishibai was translated by Tara, and this one was translated by myself.
The restaurant of many orders. Two young gentlemen, dressed like British soldiers and carrying shiny rifles, were walking deep in the mountains. This place is a disaster. We haven't seen any game, not a single bird or animal. Bang, bang! I'm keen to shoot at anything. Wouldn't it feel great to shoot a deer in the flank 2 or 3 times? They were so deep in the mountains that the local hunter, who was their guide, got separated from them along the way. And what's more, the mountains were so dreadful that the 2 big white dogs they had brought with them fell into a faint and died. Dang! What a waste! For me too. This dog cost a lot. Come on, shall we go back? Besides, I'm getting a little hungry. I know what. We can buy some game birds at our lodging from last night to take home. I guess in the end it all works out to be the same thing. Let's go back. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew. When they looked up, they saw a fancy-looking building. Over the entrance was a sign that said, Restaurant Wildcat House. Hey, this is perfect. This place is pretty civilized after all. Shall we go in? Yes, yes. Let's. I'm so famished I can barely stand up. Written on the entrance door were these words. Everyone is welcome. Do not hesitate to come in. How about that? It looks as if the restaurant doesn't charge anything. That's what it looks like. When they stepped inside, they promptly found themselves in a passageway. They kept walking and found a blue door with some writing on it. Please be aware that this is a restaurant of many orders. Impressive! It seems to be popular even in this remote location. Of course, even in Tokyo, most of the well-known restaurants are not on the main streets. When they opened the door, they found these words written on the other side. There will be a large number of orders, but we ask for your patience. What's that supposed to mean? Probably they have so many orders that it will take time to prepare the dishes, and they are asking for our patience. The passageway continued, and there was another door. A brush and a mirror were placed next to it. They followed the corridor, and at the end was a door with red letters that said, "Please tidy up your hair here and remove the mud from your shoes." A perfect reasonable request. We made a mistake thinking this place was just for the local folks. Of course, this is a classy place for sure. The two brushed their hair, removed the mud from their boots, and went into the next room. On the other side of the door was written, "Please leave your rifles and cartridges here." Of course, it'd be very impolite to take our rifles in with us. I think some very important people are inside the restaurant right now. After putting down their rifles and ammunition belts, they saw that the passageway continued on. When they got to the end, they found a black door. We politely request that you take off your hat, coat, and shoes. What do you think? Let's do it. There may well be nobility inside. The two men took off their hats, coats, and shoes and walked into the next room in their stockinged feet. On the back of the door was written, "Please leave your tie pins, cufflinks, glasses, wallets, and other metal items, especially pointed ones, here." Nearby was a safe with the door open. Aha! They may use electricity while cooking. Metal items would be dangerous. The two men put their glasses and wallets in the safe. They saw that the passageway still went on, and at the end was a door with a jar next to it. When they got to the end, they found a red door this time. "Please rub cream in the jar on your face, arms, and legs." Huh? This cream is made from cow's milk. I'm sure it is meant to keep our skin from getting too dry. The other guests must really be important people. We may even be mingling with nobility. The two men rubbed the cream onto their arms, legs, and while pretending to rub it on their faces, secretly ate some of it. Then they hurriedly opened the door. When they entered the next room, they saw written on the back of the door, "Did you rub plenty of cream on your ears too?" Uh-oh, I forgot. You know, the owner of this place is really a stickler for details. But how much longer does this passageway go on anyway? Just as he spoke, another door appeared. "The food will be ready and served soon. Please sprinkle the perfume here on your head." Pacha, 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 pacha. The two men sprinkled the perfume on their heads. "Say, this smells to me like vinegar. That's weird." I think someone made a mistake. The person probably wasn't feeling well and made a mistake. When they entered the next room, they saw on the back of the door, "You must have been bothered by so many orders. Poor things. This is the last one. Please rub the salt in the jar all over your body." Just as written, there was a jar of salt next to the door. But this time, the two men froze in place. This is odd. I think it's odd too. Many orders means someone is giving us the orders. This restaurant doesn't serve fancy dishes. It cooks the people who come here into fancy dishes and they get eaten up. That means, I think, in other words, let's get out of here. Thud. The two men pushed on the door, but it wouldn't open. They looked further down the passageway and saw another door. It had two large keyholes and two cutouts in the shape of a fork and a knife. "Thank you for all of your trouble. The food is ready. By all means, please come inside," it said on the door. Two eyes were staring at the men through the keyhole. "No!" They burst into tears. "It's no good. They figured it out." Of course, who wouldn't have? There were so many orders that it got to be annoying. Poor things. That was a stupid thing for the boss to write. But if we don't get these guys to come in, we'll be in trouble. Let's invite them in. "Welcome, gentlemen. All that's left is to serve the two of you up attractively. If you don't want to be served with salad greens, we can fry you up. Please come in quickly." The two men began trembling. Their faces shriveled up like crumpled pieces of paper, and they burst into tears. Say, if you cry like that, the cream you rubbed so carefully on your faces will all wash off. The boss is licking his chops and waiting for you. Please step right in. No! Bang! Woof, 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 wah! Those two big white dogs burst through the door and flew into the room. The eyes staring through the keyholes quickly disappeared. The dogs circled the inside of the room, barked again, and then leaped against the door with the keyholes. Crash! The door opened in a flash, and the dogs leaped into the darkness on the other side as if they were being sucked in. Woof, 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 woof. Meow! Woof, ka, goro, 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 woof, woof. Meow! Gasa, 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 gasa. The room disappeared in a puff of smoke, and the two men found themselves standing in the grass, trembling with fright. They looked up. They saw all their clothes hanging helter-skelter in the trees. A gust of wind blew, and the grass rustled. Woof, woof. Phew, phew. The dogs came back. Gentlemen, gentlemen, their hunting guide also returned. Phew, that was a close call. The guide gave the two men something to eat. Then they bought some game birds at their lodging and returned to Tokyo. But even after they got back to Tokyo, and even after they soaked in a hot bath, their shriveled faces, like crumpled up paper, never, ever returned to normal.
ありがとうございました。
So
この注文の料理店を選んだことの一つに、途中で止めてパッと抜くっていうそういう動作をそうすることによって廊下がパッと現れるというそういう仕掛けを紙芝居ならではの仕掛けをご覧いただきたかったところがあります。
One reason why I chose this story was I could use the technique of showing part of the card, moving on to the next scene and then pulling it out, and you could see the passageway continuing on. So I could use this unique Kamishibai technique in telling the story.
あとこの音楽と紙芝居を組み合わせるということはその音のバランスを取るのが非常に難しいところがありまして、今回音のバランスがちょっと音楽の方が強かったように思います。その辺が難しいところで、今回その絵とそれからその音楽っていうのがどういうものか皆さんにという素材としてご覧いただきたいかったという理解いただければと思います。
He said that when you use music with the narration, the balance of the sound is difficult, and he felt that this video, the music was a little bit too loud, but you could see how music can be used together with the drawings in this way.
今回の実演のために使用した楽譜をちょっとご覧いただければと思います。
He wants to show the music, sheet music that was used for this performance, for the story.
見えますか？
はい、見えます。
お願いします。
はい、このように脚本と楽譜が組み合わさったものを用意して、やっています。ですからなんとなく紙芝居に BGM として音楽を入れるというのではなくて脚本にきちんと沿った作曲をして、抜きや語り、との間合いそれから語りと音楽との音量などを非常に細かく調整するなど非常に緻密な作品作りというか創作と作り込みが必要になってきます。
So the narration, the script is inserted in with the music on the score like this. So his musical Kamishibai does not simply have music added to the background to create a mood. The composer follows the story, the script accurately, and must create something extremely precise and well crafted, calculating the interval between the narration and the changing of the panels, or balancing minutely the volume of the music with the narration.
なかなかこれが難しいので、今試行錯誤をしているところです。
All of this is very difficult, and we are still learning through trial and error.
もし、それがうまくいって、クオリティが上がっていったらば、より楽しいもので、楽しい紙芝居として、私はこの超型の音楽紙芝居が、舞台芸術として、成り立つんではないかと、その可能性があるんではないかというふうに考えています。
If we succeed in these various challenges and are able to improve the quality of our work, I believe we can create something very entertaining and may be able to call this type of large-scale Kamishibai performance a performing art. はい。
私のお話は以上です。
次のじゃあ、これもその続きですね。So I just want to share with you, this is another example of how he integrates the music and script. And this is another photograph that he shared to show you before he used the different temple instruments. So the notation at the top is the drum, and then the second one is the gong and the cymbals, and the last one is how he notated for the conch. They blow on a conch instrument. So this is sort of the earlier kind of notation to compare with what he did with the story you just saw. So I'll stop sharing there. どうもありがとうございました。So we have some questions in the chat. One was about how you integrate music. So I think that you answered that. And Martin, if you have further questions about that, please write it in the chat. There are just so many comments about how wonderful your story was. So I will share those with you later. 本当にもう素晴らしいとかいろいろコメントチャットにはたくさんそういうコメントが入ってますから後でお送りします。So some of the other questions, there was a question about whether you start with the standard size and then enlarge it. だから普通の紙芝居のサイズで大型にするか、それとも大型の大きな場面を先に作るかっていう質問です。
最初は小さな紙にラフスケッチを書いて、その段階でかなりこう展開というものを作って、ある程度自信が持ててから大きなものに大きな、本書きっていうんですけど、大きなものを作ります。
So he doesn't necessarily start with a small standard size, but he does do storyboarding on small cards to figure out how he wants to make the change from one scene to the next. And when he feels happy with that, then he'll start working on the much larger cards. Another question was, I think because some people came in later, I'll just review quickly what Morohashi-san said about his technique. He paints on big pieces of cardboard with a kind of acrylic that you use with stage sets. So that's why they shine. They really pop out so beautifully. And another question is, what is the standard size? Is it an A4 or A3? 普通の紙芝居のサイズはA4、A3 かっていう質問です。
B4 ぐらいですね。
A4 ぐらい。
B4。
B4. So in Japan, they have different sizes, and it's like B4 or close to A4. It's about 11 by 15 inches, I think. There are different measurements around the world, but I hope that answers the question. So I had a question about how you choose the literature that you like with Mochimochi no Ki and the other one are very classic stories from children's literature in Japan. So how do you choose a story that would work well in Kamishibai? 日本のその子供の文学から、例えばもちもちの木にしても、注文のお料理店にしても、どうしたら一番紙芝居にふさわしい話を選ぶかっていうことに私、きっと紙芝居の形にするのは、いろいろと難しいと思いますけれども、ふさわしいとふさわしくない話はあるでしょうか？
あると思います。やはり紙芝居的な展開っていうか、ある勢いと、それからやっぱりこうお話のインパクトのある、ただインパクトあるだけじゃなくて、最後はちゃんと着地できるという。で、絵としてこう広がるとか、そういう要素を持った、それはもうやってみなければ分かりませんけれども、長年やってると、これは紙芝居にぴったしだっていうお話は、なんか直感でピンときます。
そうですか。So, yeah, you really have to find a story that would work with Kamishibai, which means that the visuals have to be really exciting and the transitions from one card to another, and it has to have a really strong ending and structure to it. But after doing it for so many years, Morohashi-san can now read children's literature or classics from literature and know right away, oh, this would make a great Kamishibai. So it's something that he's learned over time as well. So then we have some new questions. And was this performed? So Liz is asking, was this performed in Japan? Was it done in English for our benefit for the recording? Yes. So I can answer that question. This has been performed many times in Japan. And for this occasion, I translated the Mochimochi tree, and Donna translated the other story. And Morohashi-san put together this wonderful video for us, for our benefit.
I think this was the first time they were performed in English.
初めて英語で演じることですか？今回の。
初めてです。
初めてです。
全く初めてです。
This is the very first time that these have been performed in English. And then another question, how frequently are these beautiful performances done for the public? やっぱり大型紙芝居っていうのはあちこち持っていくのは大変ですから、頻繁に演じることはできますか？それとも特別なイベントの時だけですか？
やってほしいという要請があれば、そういうどこでも行きますし、やります。ただ、布の大きさというのは、私の普通の乗用車には入らないです。それでトラックとかワンボックスのちょっと大きな車が必要なので、その辺がそれでもこう持っていけるギリギリの大きさっていうか、あれ以上大きいともっと大変になるので、ちょっと不可能になってしまいます。
そうですね。1年に何回ぐらいのパフォーマンスありますか？
多い時、でも10回、15回ぐらいは毎年。私はお寺があるので、お寺を休んで行かなければいけないので、そのぐらいが限界かなっていうふうに思ってます。
Okay, so yeah, he goes to whatever, to perform wherever people ask him to go. And he probably does an average of 10 to 15 performances a year. But the cards are so big that they don't fit in his car. So he has to rent a truck or get a truck to a larger car to transport them. So it would really be difficult to make them any larger than he does at this point. Okay, so we have 絵に起こす場面どのように選ぶのですか? So from Saori Katagiri, she's asking, how do you choose 絵に起こす場面? How do you choose the scenes that you make into the pictures for your stories?
そこは一番難しいところとか一番大事なところなので、 そこはこうまず文章をこう区切ってみて、でそこにもっとちっちゃなマッチ箱ぐらい、小さなこのぐらいの絵でもって描いてみるんです。でちっちゃな絵に描いてみて、それでその流れを絵の流れが絵から考えるというか、絵の流れがいいものでこう作っていくということが私は大事かなっていうふうに思っています。
So that's really the most difficult aspect of it. And so he'll begin with a small, like matchbox size square to illustrate, like storyboarding, to figure out what images will go with what scenes, and sort of divide the story as he goes along. But really it starts with the pictures, and he figures out what works from there before he works on the larger cards. Let's see if there are any other questions. How many?
Somebody was asking about how many people are behind the screen moving the paintings.
Yeah, Marcia, do you want to ask Donna?
Marcia's asking. 紙芝居を抜く作業は何人でなさるんですかと聞かれてるんです。
はい。普通の紙芝居だと箱になっているので、一人の人が抜くだけでいいわけですが、あれは大きいので箱になってないので、まず押さえる人が一人、後ろから押さえる人がいて、それから、抜く人がいます。で公演大きなホールなんかでやるときには、さらにその抜いたものを受け取る人がいるので、3人いれば大丈夫です。
He said that these with a regular Kamishibai stage, it's like a box, and you can put the panel back inside the box after you pull it out back into the stage. But with his stage, it has no back. So one person has to support all of the panels from the back, and another person pulls the panels out and changes the scenes. And sometimes there's a third person who takes the panel that's already been used and takes it away, puts it away, instead of returning it to the back of the pile of panels.
次は電気のことですね。なんか後ろで電気があるか、前に電気があるか、前ですね。後ろではないと思いますけど。はい。So to answer, どうぞ。
はい。私は照明はものすごく気を使っています。一番この舞台になんていうか、一番ものすごく重要な部分だと思っています。光の当て方。で、まずアクリル系の絵の具というのは反射しないんです。テカテカしてないという、そういうものなので、反射の眩しさがない。それが1点と、もう1点は下から蛍光灯の光を手前ですね。手前に蛍光灯の光があります。で、これはちょっと青っぽい光です。で、左右から両脇からスポットライトを当てます。でそのスポットライトはちょっと赤っぽい光です。で、その青っぽい光と赤っぽい光が混ざると、その絵が非常に浮き立って見える、鮮やかに見えるということをやってるうちに分かりまして、これを非常に大事に考えています。
はい、ありがとうございます。So he really takes a lot of care with the way he uses the lights. And I know it looks like they're from behind because they're just really illuminated, but actually the lights are in the front. And so he has one light in the very front of the stage that's kind of a blue tinted light. And then on the sides, he has two spotlights that are a red tinted light. And that combination, when mixed together, he feels brings out the best kind of illumination without having like too much reflection of the images. Who created the theater used for the paintings? 舞台はやっぱりその大型紙芝居のための舞台ですね。で、それは諸橋さんはお作りになったんですか？それとも他の大工さんか誰かに頼んで。
うちの檀家さんに大工さんがいたので作ってもらいました。形はいろいろオーソドックスなものをそのまま大きくした形にしました。だけれども形になるには、3回ぐらい今までこうなんか作り変えてきたというか、その大きなもの舞台が、自立するということが大事なんです。それでなんで自立できるかというと、扉を開いて斜めになっているところが、それが支えになって後ろから押しても倒れないという形で舞台そのものが自立しているということです。
So he had a carpenter create it, but over the time that he's been using it, he's redesigned it like 3 times because it's really important that even though it's like it is a enlarged traditional Kamishibai theater, it needs to be able to stand on its own so it doesn't get knocked over easily. So the doors that are open are at a certain angle so that even if it's pushed or it will be able to stand on its own. So that's a really important part of the design. Okay, so Mary Rice has a question. Are your audiences mostly children or families? 観客は子供だけではないですね。観客はどんな人が来ますか？
お話が結構難しい長い話が多いので、あんまり小さい幼稚園の子はちょっと無理かなと。で、小学生からあとは大人まで楽しめるようなことを考えています。
Yeah, so as you saw, the stories are rather complicated and sophisticated. So they aren't really for small children, but mostly like elementary up to adult. And what I think is really a special part of this workshop is for you to see many of the stories that, and this is what I'm saying, but many of the stories in Japan are created for little children. And Kamishibai has kind of been people think that Kamishibai is just for little children. So I think that Morohashi-san's really complicated story shows what you can do with the Kamishibai format.
I have a question, Tara.
Yeah, I wanted to say it. Please ask it.
Yeah, Morohashi-san has also illustrated picture books and won awards for them as well. And I wanted to ask him what's different about creating illustrations for his books and for Kamishibai. Morohashi-san も絵本も書かれてるんですね。作られてるんで。で、その絵本の絵の描き方と紙芝居の絵の描き方はどういうことを考えますか？どういうふうに区別しますか？
はい。絵本は手に取って近くで見るものですし、ページをめくりながらこう見るものなので、結構細かい書き込みをすることが多いんです。で一方で紙芝居はそれで文字と一緒にこう組み合わせるということが大事になってきますけれど、紙芝居は絵だけでいいので思いっきりこうなんか絵の具をぶつけるようにして描くっていうか、そういうことをして絵にこうなんか体ごとぶつかるみたいなことができるので、私はその絵本と紙芝居の絵の違いはそんなところで、絵本は細かく描く、紙芝居の方は思いっきりこう体ごとぶつかって描くっていうふうに分けて考えています。
He said that picture books you hold close to yourself and look at them, and so you can use a lot of detail and you can drawing in detail is important. Also, the words also have to be inserted too. That has to be thought of. But with Kamishibai, it's just the illustrations. So you can just, he said, throw your whole body into doing the pictures, doing the illustrations, put all of your energy into into the drawings. And so with books, it's more detail, and with the Kamishibai, it's more the power, maybe, of the illustrations that's important. Anything, Tara, did I miss something? This is important.
Yeah, I think the detail with the picture books, you really don't put that much detail into the Kamishibai cards, so you can have a lot of outlining and make it really dramatic to be seen from a distance. So they do really feel almost life size. Is there okay, so we have a couple of questions. Pascal is asking about whether these stories are shown only during the festival or regularly. I think you answered that you do about 10 to 15 performances over the year. So it's not just at the festival. But then he also said, and I forgot to translate this part, that he is a Buddhist priest, so he also has lots of responsibilities at the temple, so he can't just be going off to perform all the time either. Is there a specific time allotment for the stories? お話の長さに何かなんていうのかな、こう限られてますか？長さとかは。
はい、出版紙芝居だと4の倍数っていうふうなのが必ず決まっています。けれども私の場合は自分で書くので、例えば小説に何ページっていう決まりがないように、紙芝居の長さもやりたいだけやると。ただあんまり長くなってしまうと今度こうダブダブしたっていうか余分なこう締まりがないものになるので、やはり方向としては少なくする方向でやりますけれども、枚数に制約はつけないことにしています。
So there is no specific, so with published Kamishibai, there is a very specific number of cards you can have because of the publisher's requirements. So it's usually 12 or 16 cards. But because Morohashi-san creates his own stories, his own cards, they can really be as long as he wants. Just like with a novel, there's no length, limitation. But he does tend, because you don't want the story to go on too long, the focus is on keeping the story as sort of compact as possible to keep it exciting for the audience. でもこれ私からの質問ですけれども、例えばもちもちの木は出版紙芝居にもなってるわけですね。この場合は特に何枚っていうのはないですか？出版社から。
同心社で出したものはやっぱり4の倍数どうしてもっていうことがありまして、削ることもあるし、逆にそれに合わせて増やすこともあります。で鈴木出版で出したもちもちの木なんかは鈴木出版ですが、その場合は鈴木出版さんは私がやりたいようにやらせてくれたので、17場面とか19場面とか、もちもちの木は23場面っていうふうにいろんな変な数の紙芝居がいっぱいあります。
So the Mochimochi no Ki, as you saw, actually, Morohashi-san was holding up a standard size version of that story because it has been published. And I believe the other one is also published in the standard size. So I was asking him whether, because the publishers have strict rules about length, whether he had to think about that in creating those stories. So he explained that there's a company called Doshinsha that's very strict about the length. So sometimes he's had to make his stories a little shorter or longer to suit their specifications. But the other publisher, Suzuki Shippan, really lets him do whatever he wants. So they'll publish it in like irregular lengths. So it's really dependent on the publisher. So then we have the question, how can these stories be purchased? どこで手に入るかっていうやっぱり欲しい人がいますね。
残念ながらこの、なかなか絶版になっているものが多いのでなかなか難しいところはありますね。まだあるものもあります。
やっぱり同心者を通して鈴木出版 でも、なんか注文できますか？海外まで取り寄せることはできますか？
多分送料があれば多分大丈夫だと思いますけれども、送料を自分で払っていただくならば大丈夫かと思います。
はい。今日のお話は両方まだ出版されてますか？絶版。
もちもちの木がちょうどなくなったみたいなことを言ってました。注文の料理店はまだあると思います。
はい。So, unfortunately, Kamishibai, just like with picture books too, they often go out of print very quickly. So there are ways to order these stories through the publisher. And like Doshinsha, you can order them online. There is, of course, the fee of shipping fee. But like the Mochimochi tree has just gone out of print. So it's really difficult with Kamishibai because of that. Okay, let's see. Yeah, so everyone is just so impressed and thanking you for the wonderful stories. Okay, here's another one from Elizabeth Overmeyer. You said specifically that the Mochimochi tree story is a well-known work of children's literature. Is the restaurant of many orders also a traditional tale? And do you ever write your own tales? もちもちの木は、教科書の中にも、入って、知られている、子供の文学ですけれども、注文のお料理店はどうですかっていうことと、それからご自分で、何か創作紙芝居で、こう文学から、なんていうのかな、その、紙芝居の形にしないで自分で考えたお話を作りますか？
はい、主はその、こう児童文学から作ることが多いんですけれども、何作かは自分で作ったものもあります。やはり脚本というか自分から作るのは大変ですね。ものすごいエネルギーがいります。でもやっぱりやりがいもありますので、何作かは自分で作ったものがあります。
So he usually does other works of literature and Buddhist stories, but he has done several of his own invented stories as well. And coming up with the scripts for those stories is really challenging. It takes a lot of energy, but he has made several of them.
And the restaurant of many orders was written by Miyazawa Kenji, who's a famous writer early 20th century writer, I think.
Yeah, and Miyazawa Kenji is so famous that actually there are quite a few translated versions. I think if you look up his name, I can write it in the chat. If you Google him. I think that you can find them in English and other translations. Oops, that was too floppy. I don't know. Just a minute, I'll send it out to everybody. Okay, does anybody else have any more questions? We have run out of time, and I don't want to keep Morohashi-san too long. So if there are no other questions, I think we can wrap it up. 本当に今日は素晴らしいお話とその背景のいろいろ諸橋先生の経験からこういう大型紙芝居を作ることに至っていろいろ説明してくださりありがとうございました。本当に皆さん後でチャットをお送りしますけれども、もうこんなに面白い紙芝居は今まで見たことないようなたくさんのコメントがありますから後で送らせていただきます。Okay, well, thank you all so much for coming, and thank you, Morohashi-san, for sharing so much of your wonderful work and insights into this format. And if you have any further questions, please, you can send them to Donna or Walter or myself, and we can pass them on to Morohashi-san later. And do please remember to register for our next workshop. It won't be in December. We'll be starting again in the new year. So keep an eye out for
Tara, we have one more in November, the end of November.
That's right. So I'm thinking it's November already. That's right. We have one more in November. And which is that again, Donna?
Kamishibai for young
that's
children.
For toddlers. We have a performer from Australia and from Mexico who will share their work with very young children. So you will be going from today's performance, which was for adults, to the opposite end of the spectrum. So we hope you will all join us for that. So I think one more round of applause for Morohashi-san, and thank you so much.
ありがとうございました。皆さんに見ていただけて本当に嬉しかったです。
どうもありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。
素晴らしい経験でした。ありがとうございました。それじゃあ、さようなら。